Hi, I'm Cindy Cheatham, coach and leadership consultant. My professional background is diverse. It started out in finance and moved into my MBA, where I got general management experience and perspective of running an organization, and then into strategy consulting. And for the past 30 years, I've applied all that to working with organizations, typically at the highest level of their strategic success, to advise and coach them from Fortune 500 companies all the way down to startups, including growth companies and nonprofits and academia. In all of that, I apply my ability to quickly assess the situation and the strategy context that a leader is operating in. Because of my experience at a strategy lens, I'm able to bring that context to the situation that the leader is in so that they can not only work on themselves, but in the context of how they're going to be successful in that role and within that company. I also am a certified ICF coach, a peer certified coach, and a mental fitness coach, where I bring the professionalism from a holistic perspective to working with individuals in a variety of industries. Although I've worked across many dozens of industries, I particularly have worked a lot in high tech, as well as professional services, some in healthcare, and academia, and a significant amount as well in nonprofit associations and charitable organizations. My coaching style is, first, I'm grounded in respect for the hard work of a leader and a manager, especially in this time when there's so much volatility and the pace of change is extraordinary. So I come from a place of respect and empathy. I also really am a big champion. I particularly am recognized for being a champion and helping to celebrate leaders and managers as they progress, from first-time managers all the way to C-levels who are still struggling with that ever-changing environment and the pressures. So my style is to understand the context they're in, what their barriers are, what their goals are, both for their job and for their organization, and to walk them through a process of reflection on what they know about themselves, what they've heard from feedback, using assessment tools, of which I'm equipped to use any number of them, and then ultimately to find the intersection of what they know is needed for their business, for their leadership, and where they are particularly motivated to grow and to change. And through all that, I help, just using good questions, good listening skills, help them to identify insights and to find points of transformation. So in transformation, I can help them see where their mental blocks, or even their assumptions, or some of their personality preferences, can be in the way of success for them as a leader, and how they have to shift. And oftentimes it's just a shift of intentionality, and sometimes it's also leading. It's equipping them with some training. A number of people, especially in nonprofit, small business association group, they don't get the benefit of all the professional training of larger institutions. So I can bring that training hat into intersecting that with coaching. So that's my style. I look for a client who, even if it wasn't their choice to go into coaching, has a growth mindset related to it. They do see areas of opportunity. They want to progress personally and professionally in their life, and they're willing to do the work to work with me, both in coaching and outside of coaching, to bring the benefits of coaching to personal and professional growth. So um, they don't always know that they're excited about it, and that's part of my job, is to help intrinsically help them see what the opportunity is, even if it was presented to them, which sometimes it is by corporate development programs. But overall, I like a growth-oriented person who is committed and wants to continuously learn and grow themselves personally and professionally. An example is a senior director that I recently finished coaching for over a year. At the time I entered the coaching engagement, she had a boss that was retiring, and that was quite stressful because the boss was championing her promotion to VP. And she was nervous about it because she also understood that there were others in the organizations that weren't supportive of that promotion or had skepticism. So I'm happy to say that we identified her personality traits and her strengths, particularly focusing on her strengths and what she could bring to that executive group. We identified that her natural humility and also wanting to have everything perfect prevented her from speaking up in a pretty aggressive executive style of culture. And what I was able to do is walk her through a process of establishing executive presence, genuine self promotion to build her self confidence. She put together a LinkedIn profile, looked at her resume, and was even prepared to look elsewhere if she wasn't promoted, which generated a lot of self confidence, respect, and then, of course, walked her through a process of engaging in those executive communications, being an advocate, including when the new boss came in, having all the materials and the business case of all that she had accomplished and all that she is currently leading, which was a very big scope. And I'm happy to say she got promoted. She really elevated her self-confidence, her executive presence, and was very pleased with the growth that she saw through that process. I enjoy the intersection of learning and having cultural and active adventures. So, an interesting fact is that I just completed this spring my second Camino walk, which is an ancient walk through middle that started in the Middle Ages in Europe, which follows the path of St. James. I'm a spiritual person. I'm an active person and a contemplative person. So it allowed me to do all those things in the company of good people from all over the world. So I that's one thing that I enjoyed my Camino walk. The second interesting fact is that in this context of craziness in the Middle East, I was part of a .com startup that early in the .com days of the first dial-up moving to broadband, I was part of a startup that got bought by an Israeli company, got to meet my peers in Israel, swim in the Dead Sea, and experience what it was to visit Israel at a time that was safe. So that's a second interesting fact. From the time I was a young kid, I was always looking for causes and standing up for causes around kids and underserved and elderly and kind of justice oriented, which is grounded in part from my spirituality and my faith orientation of wanting to really make sure everybody has an equal opportunity, and particularly the marginalized. So I sit on a lot of nonprofit boards. I'm active in Leadership DeKalb and Leadership Atlanta, and I do a lot of charitable work, both paid and unpaid. I also, of course, just love spending quality time with friends and family. And I'm happy to have my two adult kids here, where we enjoy playing tennis together, book club, and involvement in my church.